Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, or live stream rather. Good to see everyone in the chat. Hope you guys all had a good weekend. Starflex, my friend, good to see you. Hans, good to see you as well. Jason, Matt, BF, Trust, Savage, Ryzen, good to see you, my friend. Stan, good to see you as well. This is a public stream, right? Izzy, good to see you. Ryan, good to see you as well. I think it is, yeah. Anyways, guys, Bitcoin has made a quick move up to the upside, and this is most likely due to the fact that I think these guys reported that Michael Saylor is hinting buying more BTC, and I think what's happened is the market kind of front run it. They kind of pumped it up in anticipation that Michael Saylor is going to buy, and then ultimately we just pretty much gave half of those gains back now, and then we're heading back down. This could have been, that, or it could have just been a normal short squeeze where too many people were expecting the market to come down. So they built up shorts and then they just liquidate a bunch of the shorts over here. Now, the ultimate trend for BTC, it is very bullish. I do think within the next month or two, we will most likely break the all-time high. And I do think we will have a new all-time high. But you have to also be cautious at the same time, because there's a CME gap and there's a bunch of liquidity still sitting at this 90k level. So whether the market is gonna attack this liquidity at some point, I'm not too sure. Maybe come down to 92k, retest the 200-day moving average. That is a possibility. Like I said, there's a bunch of liquidity sitting there, and there's also a CME gap at the 90k region as well. So my thesis has been that we could possibly get an all-time high or somewhere close to the all-time high and then drop, or we might just come down here, grab the liquidity up here, and then just make our way back up. So we'll just have to find out. There was an issue today regarding the credit rates for the US. So their rates actually came in negative, which normally when that happens, let me see if I can pull up the article. Give me 2 seconds. I'll pull up the article just to show you guys what I'm talking about. I posted it in my market overview. Hold on. There you go, right here. Come back to this. There we go. So US loses last perfect credit rating amid rising debt. Now, this debt to GDP problem, has been a significant issue. If you look at the deficit tracker over here, you guys can see nothing has changed. These guys are still in a deficit. So let's come down here. You guys can see for yourself. The cumulative fiscal year 2025 deficit was 1.3 trillion at the end of March. After adjusting for timing shift for certain payments, the deficit is 15% larger than it was at the same point last fiscal year. Revenues up 3%, while total spending is up 7%, which means that the stimulus is still fueling the market rally. Yes, they did cut some stuff from the government side, but the deficit is still growing, which means that the markets are going to continuously rally. Now, the liquidity in the markets is near the all-time lows. It is slowly going back higher, and I think the US has been buying some bonds back. And but overall, the deficit is still there. I don't think they'll ever get rid of this Ponzi deficit scheme that has been happening for so many years now, because they can't do anything. The GDP and stuff relies on government spending. And in order for them to actually boost GDP, they kind of have to also increase, the government spending. They can't cut it, because the more they cut it, and the recent data that came out regarding consumer confidence, let me just see if I can find that. I should have pulled that up before. Last week, previous week, I think it was on Thursday, right? Hold on. Where is it? Was it on Thursday? Was it on it? Core inflation. Oh, no. This is way further up. What the fuck am I doing? Hold on. It was after PPI. Oh, right here. There we go. Here. If you look at this, right, Michigan consumer sentiment is just put in a new low pretty much 5 months in a row, which means that consumer confidence is at all-time lows, which also means that consumers are not willing to spend. And this basically correlates with the negative GDP numbers that we got out, a couple of weeks ago. And it was quite weird because we had negative GDP for the first time since 2022. And the market rallied because we had two short squeezes back to back, two massive short squeezes back to back. And the market rallied because of that. Too many people were short on the GDP news, and then they got squeezed. So they had to buy back in. And then it happened again after that. And then that's why we can continue to higher past the 100K. But what we're seeing is a contraction in the economy. It's very, very obvious that people are scared to buy. Credit debt is at all-time highs. And all of this stuff will lead to some sort of crash at the end of the year. But, between now to the end of the year, there's so much time period where the market can explode. But you guys have to be able to, to learn to take profits this time. Because if you round trip this time, you're going to be stuck with your bags for at least a year. And some of these coins might not survive. You have to understand that the bear market is brutal, and only very few coins that actually generate revenue will survive. A majority of them will just abandon the project. They've made their money and they don't give a shit. You gotta understand these are ran by crypto bros. Most of these projects are ran by crypto bros. They're here for the show, especially on Solana. Most of them are ran by crypto bros. They're gonna make their money and they're gonna fuck off. So, just make sure you don't round trip the second time around. But there is some bullish stuff as well. We've had BlackRock ETF pretty much holds 65 billion in the spot. We had Treasury Benson talking about they'll continue to trade with China. They want to restore the open markets for the US and China markets. But I think this is very important because we're going to grow the GDP faster than the debt growth. That will stabilize debt to GDP. And what this means is this is basically another way of saying we're going to stimulate the market. We're going to add liquidity to the market. And there's various ways they could actually add the liquidity. One of them is through tax cuts. So Trump has been talking about anyone earning under 150K don't have to pay taxes or on specific things, which I think is pretty bullish. That's a massive stimulus in itself. They can also stimulus through bank deregulation, which is also coming. And this is something that they've been talking about for multiple months now. They're going to, derelegate banks. Banks can start loaning out money privately to the private sector. And, Trump at the moment is going around creating GDP. That 1 trillion or 1.5 trillion investment from the Saudi, that's creating GDP. So this is what they mean. They're going to increase GDP faster than the debt ceiling. So if they can do that, then yes, they can actually, pay back some of that debt. And this will be massive stimulus for the market. And if you look at the PPI data at the same time, everything is leaning towards everything, the inflation data cooling off. You can't say, the Fed cannot say that we are in an inflationary environment when oil is trading at $60 a barrel. That is not an inflationary environment. So the Fed will have to cut at some point. China's already cutting. They basically become deflationary, and they will stimulate. Eurozone is already stimulating, and the Fed will always be late to the party. They should have already been cut. They're already behind the curve. But it doesn't matter. They will be forced to cut and stimulate the market at some point, whether it's through rate cuts. Most likely, it will be through QT ended, because once they get below the 2% goal, the Fed will start loosening up. They will most likely end QT, and they will start bringing rates a little bit lower, maybe 1 basis points, maybe half a basis points, maybe 3/4. We don't know at the moment. But as long as they end QT and they bring rates down a decent amount, the market will fuel. The altcoin season will actually happen, and I think that is coming closer and closer. As you start to see consumer confidence down, you start to see GDP down, you start to see inflation coming down. All of this stuff puts pressure on the Fed to actually stop QT and add some liquidity back to the markets. It's like the Fed at some point is going to be like, we've done enough, we've done all we can. It's time to stimulate. because that's the only thing that's keeping this Ponzi scheme going is the stimulus from the Fed. And that's what causes GDP. That's what that's over 25% of GDP just in government spending. And if they cut that off, we're going to see a negative in GDP, and they can't hide it forever. Eventually, everyone's just look at the bond market. You look at the bond market. The bond market is in a state that if the 10-year goes all the way to 5%, that is the same level as a 2007 2008 crisis. You look at the 30-year, that's gunning for 5%. I think it actually hit almost 5% last week. No one's picking up US debt on the simple fact that it's too expensive to borrow money from there. If the rates are too high, no one's going to borrow there. They're going to go to the Eurozone. Euro's been cutting their rates, so people are putting money to work in the Eurozone, and they're going to put it in the Japanese yen, because that is, at some point, the carry trade will happen again, and those guys will reap the rewards. But it's also cheap to borrow at the yen as well. That's a safe haven. The yen is a safe haven. The gold is a safe haven. At the same time, most of the investors at the moment, short term, are going to the Eurozone because they can get way more yield there for locking up for a shorter period of time. No one's going to be willing to lock 30-year, in the US with all this uncertainty that's happening at the moment. But the ultimate goal is, we are bullish. I do think we are entering the final phase of the market, the blow off top phase. Bitcoin will eventually break. It will definitely break the all-time high. How high can it go? It depends on how long the cycle goes on for. I think around between 130 to 150, everyone should be starting to take profits at those regions. 130 to 150, that is a perfect area to start booking profits. Because like I've said a million times, your goal for this year is to stack cash to buy back into the recession. And then from the recession, that is when you can make life-changing money. You're not going to make it now, because the type of Altseason we look for, the type of Altseason that can make people life-changing money, is only going to come when rates are zero and the Fed is ready to start QE. And I don't think we're going to see that till sometime end of 2026. So this year, stack cash, get as much cash as you can to buy into the recession next year. We don't know how long it's going to last. It could last 6 months. It could last, less than a year, or it could last a year. But during that time, you're going to get the best buying opportunity of your life. Most of these assets that has been inflated, through vesting, most of them are going to be most of the vesting is going to be almost done. So you're going to get these assets that's going to be 99% cheaper, while having decent vesting in sometime next year. Buy those up, and you're going to make stupid money. But you have to have discipline to take profits now on this pump that we're going to have in the coming months. Do I think Synthesis 1 can make a comeback? This is not a bad project overall, but the only problem with this project is what they offer and what the entire product is based on is very niche, and they have not changed at all. They haven't been developing as much. Just look at the development. Have they expanded to other sectors, AI agents, etc.? If they haven't, then the reality is most likely not. New trade to earn campaign. This is like a data hub type of thing. They basically pay you to to provide data. So whether it's taking a picture of something, it's basically the old data hub. This is what they do. This is not I think data is important. I think data will continue to grow, and at some point, I do think this will pump, because if you just zoom out, right, and you look at from September to December times when the market got really bullish, this pumped about 4-5x. So it will make a comeback depending on what level you're looking for. If you're looking from back up here, I don't think it's going to go back up there. It's very unlikely, because this was the initial hype. The first Altseason, in the mini Altseason we had from 2023 to 2024, and this was on the back of Solana doing really well. Now Solana is not going to have that exact same hype it did initially, and on top of that, there's thousands of new projects on Solana as well. So how well this does, I don't really think it's going to do too well. Maybe if it goes back to 5 cents or 4 cents, that's still good money. That's like just over 10x. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad project though, Haynes. Jason, good to see you, my friend. How you been? Let's go down some of the new comments, but fucking hell. Good to see everyone in the chat. Guys, hit the likes on your way in. I would appreciate that loads. Top 5 coins, Alt Sensei, Brick and Sniff. What do you think about that? My top 5 coins are Alt Sensei, AI Tech, Brick and Sniff. I think that's pretty solid, my friend. I think that's a very solid coin overall. I mean, if you look at you got a DePIN coin, which is Alt and AI Tech. They're both DePIN, but they can also be AI agents. Both of them AI Tech. They just AI Tech and Alt caters to so many different narratives that I think that it will pump with multiple narratives. Now, AI Tech has been doing extraordinarily well the last couple of weeks, and that is because these guys have always said, don't worry about the price action. If you DCA, you'll always end up in profits. And just look at the trading volume. It's at $20 million. And this is before a tier one is coming. I think within the next month, maybe end of this month or early next month, this will be on a tier one exchange, in my opinion, because they do have exchange listings in their Q2 roadmap. And these guys normally meet the exchange listings now. They're also going to be finishing the data hub, but they're in the middle of doing their buybacks. They've just spent $500,000 buying back the token. They still got another $500,000 to go, which means this rally can still be fueled further, maybe to 8 cents, maybe to 9 cents. And then I think once their buyback is done, I think, because these guys are so good at marketing, they are most likely going to announce the exchange listing straight after. That is my prediction is with AI Tech. I think this will at least break $1 billion, sorry, in terms of market cap by the end of this cycle, in my opinion. I genuinely think it will, because DePIN projects have been dead for about a year and a half, but I think now DePIN is becoming more and more popular. If you look at, I can't remember where I posted the chart, but there's a chart that shows the mind share of different narratives, and DePIN had over 250%. It was at the top of the mind share, so that is where a lot of attention is going at the moment, and that's why AI Tech's going really fast. So yes, I think AI Tech will do very well. Alt will do very well. Sensei is always going to do well. Brickin, I think, is one of the best RWA projects in the space, and I do think, if they get a few more exchange listings, I genuinely think Brickin is like a $500 to $1 billion market cap coin. This will do extraordinarily well, especially with all the bullish announcements that's coming. They're very good at marketing as well. And then Snift is a good DJ coin. I would have went with Munity, just because you have no gaming coin. Snift is AI gaming anyway, so you can kind of get away with it. But if you need at least one gaming coin, and then speaking of gaming, OTK did remove the SD sign off KuCoin. I told you guys, do not worry. The SD sign will get removed, and it got removed, and it's up 37%. It was up like 50%, I think, at the peak. Yeah, it reached about 0.06. So the SD sign is gone on this project, which means they spoke to KuCoin. And like I told you guys, these guys have private investment from KuCoin. Sometimes these exchanges just give these projects a wake-up call, like like a wake-up call, like you guys need to start improving marketing, and that's exactly what they've done. The volume used to be like 20, 30K. It's almost 200K now. And this is pretty decent, because that's 10% of the market cap, 2.1 million market cap, and the volume is, I don't think that's bad at all. The 10% to market cap ratio, that's pretty good in my opinion. So yes, OTK will do well, but you need a gaming coin. It doesn't. I think you could get away with Snift as like an AI gaming coin. So yeah, overall, very good project. Being good to see you, my friend. How you been? Well, yeah, too late. Powell is always going to be late. I've never known the Fed to actually do anything right. Last cycle, they were too late. They ended up just starting QE to bail out. And they're going to do the exact same thing again. They're going to be too late. And they're going to cut rates when it doesn't matter, when it's already too late. And then they're going to be cutting while the market is dropping, which is retarded. And then, it gets to the point where they have to start a fresh wave of QE or NQT. It will happen. Just give it some time. The Fed is... Trump has his spot on. You look at inflation numbers, they're all down. Crude oil is 60%. That is not a deflationary environment. That is a healthy environment for inflation when crude oil is $60 a barrel. So I don't know where Powell is getting this fucking... He keeps jumping. He keeps moving the goalpost. 1 second, is inflation is too high, and then inflation comes down. The next second, he says that unemployment is strong, so we don't need to cut. And then you start seeing some weakness in the unemployment sector, and he moves the goalpost again. Oh, now it's tariffs. It's tariff story now. Everything's about tariffs is a tax hike. It's not going to, because the thing is, like, yes, prices can go higher, but people are not going to consume. So inflation is not going to go up. It's just a retarded concept that they kept coming up with, that tariffs cause inflation. If the price of a laptop has gone from 500 to 1,000, people are just simply not going to buy it. So then how can inflation go up if people are not consuming it? It's a retarded shit. It's just a slowdown in GDP, and it's just a drag. He's just dragging everything, and then all this stuff. It makes me think that Powell is trying to purposely manufacture a hard landing so they can actually come to the rescue and start mass QE. That is what my thesis is, and is more and more evident every day. Because they keep jumping the goalpost not to cut rates to the point where it's going to be too late, and then it just doesn't matter anymore. Rate cuts are not going to save you when everything's going to shit, is it? That's why I say on this final pump, take profits, because what Powell is doing is dangerous. Jose is not too bad, actually. I think it's the IOTA team behind this. I do hold a small bag of this. I am up on it. I think we got into this around 5-6 million, so I'm almost up 2x. But it's a good degen coin. It's up to you if you want to get into it. I only hold a small amount into this. What do I think about the new UK regulations coming within the next 2 years? UK is a shithole, I'll be honest with you. They're going to extract as much money out of you as they can, because dying empires do that. And the UK is a dying empire, unfortunately. And, it is in a massive decline. And when it gets to that stage, they will try to extract as much money from the people as they can. They've increased council tax, they've increased other taxes, they're implementing some random bullshit, new taxes to make money for the government. It's a shithole. But I think the regulation actually comes in. I think it is next year in 2026. So you do have some time to actually to kind of avoid it. So I think by sometime in 2026, any transaction that happens on chain, whether it's through, I think it's mostly through SEX, so centralized exchanges, there has to be reported back to the government, which is quite weird. But the best way to get out of that is either go to a new country or just trade on DEX. Ben Cowan is still 100% sure that total free BTC will go to 2.5. It's quite concerning for alts. How do you like? Well, listen, Ben Cowan has a valid point, and he always says the business cycle can take years to play out. What if Ben Cowan, just like he did in 2023 and just like he did in half of 2024, his thesis could play out in 1 year's time, and he will still act like he got it right. His thesis could play out in the bear market. This is what people don't realize. There's been cases like in 2023, 2024, you don't always need, QT to end to have an Altseason. You don't always need it. Now, QT ending is going to fuel Altseason a lot bigger than it did previously, but you just need a catalyst. The catalyst could be, I don't know, maybe right now, look at all these countries buying BTC, adding it to the strategic reserve. That's a catalyst. If inflation's behaving and Powell's not being hawkish, the market, and if the market has no reason to go down, then ultimately the market will naturally always go up. The market needs a reason to go down, not a reason to go up. It will always naturally go up. And then the more reasons, the less and less reasons will have to go down. The market will naturally go up. If Trump is making deals left, right, and center, and he's building a positive relationship with China, the market will fuel on the back of that. So we could pump for the next 3 to 4 months and then dump, and then Ben Cowan's thesis can come true while we enter a bear market. But he won't call it a bear market. He'll just call it another year of consolidation, just like he did in 2024. That was that year, you could have classed it as a bear market year for most of it. After the massive pump, everything dumped 80 to 90%, just like it did the last 4 months. So, we could pump, like I said, for the next 3-4 months, have a very nice mini alt season. Because the reason he says that is because with the alt season that he's looking for requires QE. That's not going to come until QT ends. But you can still make good money on mini alt seasons, just like we had, in December, November, September, December, those times. You can have mini alt seasons. Sometimes it can last a bit longer. It might last 2 months, 3 months. That's all you need in the crypto space to actually make stupid amounts of money. So his thesis would play out, but it could take a year to play out. So far, it hasn't. His thesis has been that for the last 4 years now. Hasn't played out yet. It's getting close, but we can always just bounce from here and then come down later. But that's the whole point of the final phase. So yeah, I think it could happen, but I don't think it will happen in the short term. Right now, we're more bullish than bearish, my friend. Our guarantees with QE is more or less guaranteed, my friend, because like I've explained to you, this whole Ponzi scheme is ran on the back of government spending and QE. So they will always have to turn the printers back on at some point, because liquidity right now is near the all-time lows, which means people are not consuming. Is that simple. If no one's consuming, the economy is in a weakened state. Like I've just showed you guys, through government consumer confidence. The Fed will have to come and do something at some point. Every other country, China is deflationary, meaning they have to start printing soon. Eurozone is already printing. They're cutting rates. They're printing. Germany has been going, crazy with their printing due to the fact that they're ramping up their defense. So, the exact same thing will happen with the Fed, but the Fed is always just going to be late. But it will come. It will definitely come this year, I think. What do I expect? I think the parabolic move will come in 2027, in my opinion. The type of alt season we're looking for, like you go look back in alt season in history, the biggest alt season I would say was 2017 or 2020. For shit coins, 2023 was way bigger. For that to happen, we need QE for that type of alt season, that crazy alt season. That will be in 2027. We could still get a very good alt season when QT ends this year. That is still a good alt season. You can still make stupid amounts of money. But the type of alt season where you can just blindly put money in anything and it'll pump 10x, that will come in 2027, in my opinion. Appreciate that, Mr. T, the biggest alt shiller. Good to see you, my friend. It all depends on your risk tolerance. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, House of Crypto did mention alt, so it is on his radar. He thinks it's a good project. There's another YouTuber with 70k subs. He said that alt can do a 20x, between 17 to 20x. So alt is slowly becoming more and more noticed by the YouTubers, but it all depends on your risk tolerance. For example, I got into Tau at like $40 around those regions. I'm not going to sell my Tau until it hits like around 900 or some shit, like a 3 to 5x from here. For me, it will be stupid amounts of money. It all depends on your entry for Tau. If you got into Tau, below $100, then no, you should not sell. That is a good safety net to have below $100. If you got into Tau down here or before you got listed on CoinMarketCap, then you could have got into Tau and you would have made very good money. And I think Tau will continue to pump. So it all depends on your risk tolerance and it all depends on your entry for Tau. So tell me what entry for Tau is, I'll let you know. Do I think we have money left? I think so, yes. One of the things with AI tech, and there was one retard, right, that always tries to say, oh, I should AI tech, but AI tech shit. People don't realize, the retards don't realize AI tech spent the whole of 2024 having major unlocks every single day for the whole year, and it still held up fairly well up until the January times where everything crashed. It wasn't just AI tech, and it held up really well because the volume was good. But what people don't realize now is the unlocks now is fuck all. There's all the most of the early investors are out now, so there's no one really to left dump on you apart from ecosystem tokens and maybe the team as well. But I think the team expanded their vesting a little bit longer as well. And when the fact they're doing $1 million buybacks just shows how much money they have spare. They spend millions on the data center and they still have money spent, which means these guys are well funded. And at some point, this is going to continue. I think this will continue to pump because this does not have any tier ones at the moment. If it gets 2 tier ones this year, maybe they are definitely going to get Binance. I've already said way before, as this was like 4 cents, 2 cents, 3 cents as it was going down. I told you guys, these guys have a Binance listing secured. It's all about timing for them. And I think within the next month or two, they will definitely have a tier one listing. So yes, the market, this will continue to pump. And on top of that, you have to understand DePIN for the last year and a half has been dead. Just go look at all the DePIN coins. They've just been dead. That's why all is a DePIN coin mostly, because they have almost 100,000 nodes across the world. That's DePIN. They also have the AI and storage and stuff, but they also consider DePIN. DePIN has been dead. Just look at Render's price action, and Render's the best one to kind of compare to. It's just been steady and not been doing shit for the past, year and a half though. Since September, when the market got bullish, it's barely done a 2x. That's not a DePIN, favored environment. At some point, when DePIN gets bullish, this will probably reach around 10 billion, 15 billion, 20 billion. And then all the other DePIN coins will go parabolic again. So you have to look at the main driver for the narrative. So for AI is Tau. For gaming is like Beam and Superverse and all these other ones. For RWA is Ondo, Clearpool, and all these mid to high cap RWA coins. For DePIN is Render. That's pretty much it. Render's been dead, been doing shit. So you have to look at the narrative drivers for the narrative itself and see how they've been performing. And DePIN's been dead. Very clearly, DePIN's been dead. This only pumped 2x, or the majority of other coins, high caps, done way better. So DePIN's been dead and it's been under the radar. When it wakes up, which I think it will wake up this year, AI tech or all the DePIN coins will do very well. Natix as well. Natix is a good DePIN coin as well. Yeah, that's a valid target. I think it'll blast past that though. Did you see Tars AI ad revenue? Yeah, Tars AI, I got handed to them, as scammy as they are. They're very good at marketing, and therefore it will always pump. So yes, I have seen the buybacks and I've seen the burns. They are very impressive. I don't know about the ad revenue. I don't think Tars AI makes any money. If they say they make money, I think it's all bullshit. And the reason I had Tars AI in the not worth section, this was over. I've not changed this list in like over a year, but the reason I had it on here was because, very simply put, they just scammed all the early investors, and that is not a good red flag for me. And people say, "Oh yeah, Tars AI has been doing very well," but what people don't realize is, with Tars AI, most people purchased and bought their Tars AI in this section over here at the 10, 15. So most of those guys that accumulated all to 2024, they're fucking down on the investments. The new retards that joined Tars AI down here and over here, yes, they are in profits, but majority of people accumulate Tars AI in this region. I guarantee you they didn't take profits after a 4x over here or 2.5, 3x, whatever they got, right? Depending on when the entry was. If you got in at 15, you would have made a 3x at the top. If you got in at exactly 10, you would have made a 4.5x. You're not going to take profits for 4x when you're in altcoins. You'd rather be in the fucking high caps, right? And then the new investors in Tars AI, because every YouTuber talks about it, you got in here, you made very good money. You got in here, you made very good money. Not very good, but at least you're up on your investment, right? But this is what people don't realize. Most accumulated Tars AI in this phase, this consolidation phase, which lasted literally almost a whole fucking year. So yeah, it is impressive, but you have to be very careful as well, my friend, that these guys don't pull the liquidity at the end of the cycle, because you can make a 20x on this, but if they pull liquidity, your money is gone. And the fact that they scammed the early investors, what threw me off, and that's why I'll put it in the not worth section. But like I said, this is a good short-term trade. Every time the market drops, I always buy a little bag of Tars AI, because on the reversal it will always pump. It has very good volume, and that is good. This is a very good trade coin. This is one of the best coins to trade. One of the coins I told you guys to trade was Cola. Cola now is up 4x from the lows. I just, I'm up 4x on this. I took my profits. I don't know why it doesn't show, but this went to 4 cents on Mexi. I don't know why the fuck it doesn't want to show on here. But this went to 4x on Mexi. I took my profits, took my initials out, left the moon bag. And if you guys listen to me, on that day I told you guys to buy Sui, Ondo, Injective, this, Grift. I told you guys to buy Grift as well. Orbit. This shit went parabolic as well. Look, you got into Orbit somewhere around here. I think it was around 0.01 when I told you guys to buy. At the top, you would have been up 3x. If you got in down here, you would have been up a lot more. So there's very good coins you can trade. You just don't have to hold them long term. I've traded this, made pretty decent, trading opportunity. Same thing with Cola. I've been trading this, made me a 4x today. TARS AI is another one you can always go heavy in and just get like a 30-40% investment. You make good money. Same thing with Sui. Same thing with Ondo. They're always going to pump. Cash, Chris, good to see you, my friend. At least catch a live from my favorite YouTuber. Very nice goatee beard. Very good to see you, my friend. I appreciate the €6 as well, Chris. Do you plan on narrative hopping between now? Indeed, I do, Wasim. I will see. You have to wait. Like the market overall pumps together at first. So you see BTC rally, and then you see all the altcoins kind of pump, and then between that phase, you're going to get sub narratives start taking off. We haven't had that yet. We had a little peak, like a couple of days, where some of the AI agents pumped, and then just a few days ago, they all came down like 50-60%, and now they've rallied a little bit today as well. So you have to wait for a narrative to clearly take off. And that's why I always keep cash on the side, because during that narrative phase, for example, let's say it's RWA coins, right? There's 50, 60, 100 other RWA coins apart from the ones on our list over here that we can trade. These will pump, obviously, with the narrative. Relo will pump. Relo's up like 4x from the lows. ATR will pump. Bricken will pump. Prop base will pump, Ondo will pump. These will pump, but that 10% cash you have on the side, you can go and buy some other coins that's going to pump with a narrative, and therefore you can develop and build more cash positions. The whole point, as I said, this year is to build cash positions so you can buy into the recession or massive drop next year. That's the whole point. So whether you do through trading, whether you do from holding, it's up to you. I do a bit of both. I even do futures trading in the private group. We have a future trading section, which does very well. They just made a decent trade on Altcoin today, on Sui, and on WIF. So they do very well in there. And then we have the gem section, and then we also have the general section, which is the coins that I tell people to hold. But then there's also other sections, the meme coin section, where people just do their own thing and make money. That's the whole point of a community. It's not an echo chamber. It's everyone does their own thing, and people like different things. And there's always trading opportunities. Just because we hold these coins does not mean that you can't trade other coins. TARS AI is one that I trade. What do we think about Altura? I think when gaming's come back, I think it will do well. I don't know if anyone's holding an eye on, but if you do, my condolences goes out to you, my friends. This project has more or less rock pulled on the back of the team announcing that they are stepping down from the project. They basically said, and this is how tough it is for gaming at the moment, and it's very evident gaming projects have been struggling for a while now. And these guys said they attempted to get a fresh round of funding, and they failed because their game development basically failed 4 times, which means as they were developing their game, it just didn't work out. They failed. I think they did 4 test attempts on the game, and it failed. All 4 failed. In order for them to actually build the project further, they had to get a fresh round of funding. And this is why, and I tell you guys, and people don't take it, they don't listen at least, or they don't take it serious. Why it's so important for projects to actually have revenue coming in, so they don't need the fresh rounds of funding. Just look at this project. The reason they rugged was because they wasn't generating any revenue, and because they couldn't get around the funding, so that way they had to just close the whole business down, because you have to pay the people that work for you. And if you're doing it through selling the token, eventually, if you like over here, the market's bullish, it's okay. You can sell. And then when it comes to down here and there's no interest, the trading volume goes down, from I don't know, what's the volume? Volume here is like 2, 3, 4, 5 million. And down here, it starts to decrease because it's mostly bot trading anyways. No real volumes coming in. You can't sell your tokens. And therefore, you have to just the project just falls because you can't pay your team members. So that's why it's so important to have revenue coming in. Is the strategy to jump our bags on the next pump, buy back in the bear market? I want to make sure. Yes, that is the strategy, my friend. That is the strategy. Don't worry, in the private group, I'll update you guys regularly, to DCA out and stuff, just to remind you guys. The way I made a mistake in December because I didn't take any profits. I took a little bit out, but fuck all, not anything significant. And that is, I was lacking, and that's what happened. Sometimes you get caught off guard, and in that time I got caught off guard. This is the thing, though, right? I spent the whole 2024 getting most predictions right, played out very perfectly, and then just one mistake, and that mistake was brutal because that was the worst 4 months in crypto since COVID. So that says a lot. Just that one mistake can really fuck up your portfolio if you don't, if you're not keeping up track with everything. At that point, it was like a no-brainer. Inflation was going up. It made sense to take money off the table, but I got caught out. So I'll make sure that don't happen again. OTK, immunity, buy now, or DCA, NAI, Bricken. Yeah. So speaking of NAI, where is it? They're doing some very good development. So let's forget the music. So what they've done is this week they've got a new face of whatever. So they've updated their website, Nuclei. They got a stake and launch for the Launchpad now. So they are going to be having a Launchpad, which means that's talking right. So they formed this new alliance with three other projects: Data Hive, CheckD, and Datagram. Because this is a data company, right? So they are with other data companies. It makes sense, quite smart. On top of that, they've just formed this new partnership with the Data Hub, as I said. They've formed the new Legion stuff. So this Legion is like it's like you can stake your NAI token, and then you have this bot which has money into it, like an AI agent that trades based on you guys vote. So they go long on short on BTC. If 90% of people vote long, then they'll go long. And if it's if most people are short, then they go short. And then however much money they make in the end, it gets split between the stakers. So I think this is quite smart. It's like a playful way for people to make money. So yeah, it's very good. The testnet's coming out, the mainnet's coming out in Q2, and right now it's at a good level. And back in last year, it's at the same level, actually lower, because I got into it around here initially on the 0.03 region. So right now, I did bring my averages down significantly. My average is probably like 0.02524 around those regions. So my average is down. I am in profits on this, just to make you guys know. In terms of buying now, like I said, there is a chance BTC could go and visit the low 90s before really taking off. There's a possibility. It's not a guaranteed, just because there's liquidity sitting there and there's a CME gap there. So if you guys want to DCA, like I said, don't ever DCA on the way up. You DCA when Bitcoin's having some sort of correction. Never ever DCA as we're going up. You DCA when Bitcoin has a correction. That's it. Before the next move up. So can we come down to the 890K one more time? Yes, we can. That's a healthy correction. There's nothing wrong with it. You need those type of corrections so the whales can load up their bags one more time. All the weak hands get shaken out, and then we go higher again. And the weak hands enter and pump the bags one more time. This is how the markets work. So out of those three, the only good, I would say OTK is a good buy. I would still wait for OTK a little bit. Out of those ones, the best one I would DCA is most likely immunity. This is like, I don't know, 400-500K in cap. Very low. Sensei is not a bad DCA as well, but like small DCAs at the moment. They don't do large DCAs. What I do is, and I told people a million times, when I say DCA, just to make this very clear for all the new people that watch my videos, DCA is small amounts, $50, $100, $200 max. You only buy on crashes. If you did not buy down here when Bitcoin, when this was a lot lower, then you should not be DCAing as it goes up. It doesn't work like that. You should have been buying here. And if you are going to buy here and you don't have no sense here at all, DCA small amounts here. Because it's very likely if the market reverses, this will just blow up to like 0.045 quick. So DCA small amounts at the moment until we see some sort of crash. I would say in this current market environment, about 10% is fine. For a low cap, 5 to 10% is more than enough, bro. You have to think, you gotta think though, right? The liquidity in the low caps come when we are in extreme greed. They don't come when we're like 50-50. Right now, we're like 50-50. So, as long as your altcoin has between 5 to 10% market cap, then it's fine. And the market cap that I always find is like, you got to also keep in mind, a lot of these coins have trading bots. So most of the liquidity is fake anyways. So that's what you got to keep in mind. If it wasn't for trading bots, most of these low caps right now will probably have between 50K to 30K volume. That's the reality. Because no one's buying and hold. Most people just buy and hold and they just wait. The only people that's really pulling liquidity for any of these low caps is fucking trading bots, Mexi bots, and all these other ones. It's not real volume. Most in crypto is not. Look at fucking Aether, bro. This is like the reality is most of this volume is fake. Yes, it probably has at least 5-10 million volume, but then you look at the volume. What the fuck is Upbit? I've never ever heard of this exchange in my life, but this has the most volume for Aether, which is very evident that is bullshit. Because you look at the depth is only 88K. There's way more liquidity elsewhere. More liquidity in Albank, more liquidity in Gate, more in Big Game, more in Bybit, more in OKX. But this one has less depth, but the volume is fucking double, triple some of these other ones, 4 times more. And that is simply because this is what the trading bot is. So people are like, oh, the volume's good, but the reality is, no, the fuck is not. Most of these trading bots. The real reality, I'll probably say the real volume for this will probably be somewhere between 5 to 10 million max, no more than that. It's just a bunch of trading bots. That's it. So it's kind of hard to dictate volume. Have a bag of ore, price at 18. That is kind of bad. You need to bring your averages down a bit, bro. Fucking high. Yeah, it's very high, bro. SKR is a gaming coin. So I think by the end of the bull run, you are going to make money on this. I have a bag of this. I am down on it. But like I told you guys, when you invest into these DGen coins, you have to accept they're going to go down 60-70%. But for this to go to do a 50x, all it needs, just go to 50 million market cap. It's not that hard. You can do a 30x. Just buy a little bit more, bring the average down. This project has not rug pulled. They've expanded to other sectors now. They're building AI agents now. They've just built an AI agent on virtuals. Where is it? Right here. This is an AI agent on virtuals. So that's CEO. So they just catered to other narratives. This is the thing with gaming coins, right? Especially low cap ones. They just not going anywhere because no one gives a shit about gaming. That's all it is. You just have to wait until gaming picks up. I told you guys, if you're gonna buy in the DGen coins, make it 1% or less, and forget about it till the market gets really bullish, or till the narrative comes back. If the narrative doesn't come back, there's nothing you can do. So that's the risk you have to take with these very, very micro cap coins. But this will come back when gaming pumps, 100%. Do I think, Andy? Good to see you as well, buddy. Very good to see you, my friend. Do I think quality degens like props, analog, Riz, Snift could do 10 to 20x bull, considering the market cap's unpredictable? I think half of those will, yes. I don't know what analog is. I know Riz is pretty decent because that is the RWA coin on base. I mean, the AI agent coin on base. This one right here, right? I don't think this is a bad project. Now, the only thing that's kind of kept me away from actually investing in this project is the vesting schedule. I think once the vesting, gets a bit diluted a bit more, yes, this is not a bad project on paper. It does swarm agents, it does a bunch of different agents, and it has a clear use case. This is not a bad project. Like I said, the only issue with this is the vesting schedule, and vesting schedules for me is a big big red flag. I mean, just look at peak. I'll show you guys peak. I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Yeah, so these guys, 30% of the supply are going to unlock in 2 days. So we just have to see how it reacts on that unlock. If it's okay and it doesn't dump, then it's okay. It's okay to hold. You look at peak, right? There's a prime example I always use when I say vesting plays a major role in a project. Look at this. All the early investors have now got their tokens, and you have to be smart and you have to check, right? So if you go on Chainbroker, it doesn't want to show you there. But you look at peak, fundamentally, very solid layer one with a massive ecosystem. But why is it not pumping? Because these are bear market plays. Peak will be a very, very good bear market play. It's one that I will be accumulating in the bear market. And it's very simple. I'll tell you why. You look at the early investors, these guys obviously not shown, which means they're private. But just look at these motherfuckers. The private round one got in at 1 cent, is currently at, what's peak's number? It's at 13, 14 cents, which means these guys are up 14x on the investments. And the fact that they have just started to unlock every single day, I just don't see peak going anywhere more than a 3-4x this cycle. So anyone that's holding peak, unless you go into the private sale, whoever's shitting peak, as like a buy right now, is just bullshitting. It's just trying to pump their bags, very simply put. Because just look at the vesting. That is approximately 40% of the supply being unlocked every single day, while those same fuckers are up minimum 10, 14x minimum. These guys, public guys, obviously just barely up 2x. These guys here are up a decent amount, like 5, 6x. But you have to think, right? If the private one is basically 1 cent, what do you think seed is? And what do you think pre-seed is? I think these guys are probably below like 0.05, which means they're up, 28x, 30x. I don't know, fuck knows what these guys are going to be up. They're probably up like fucking 70, 80x. So, you got to look at that and you have to use your brain and understand that as these guys are unlocking for the next 24 months, every single day, they're just going to be raping the charts, and they're not going to be, this is not going to go anywhere just based on the vesting schedule. However, sometime in November in 2026 in bear market, these guys are going to eventually be down on the investments and they can't sell, and then that's when you buy. Don't buy them now on these guys. You just become exit liquidity for these motherfuckers. It's pointless to get into some projects that has bad dilution. This is one of them. Riz is another one. Even though Riz is not that bad, just have to see how it reacts on the first initial unlocks. You look at something like Snift, right? Look at Snift's unlocks. It's fuck all. That's why I like Snift. You look at the fundraising, right? The IEOs are down 90%, which means these guys are going to be down on the investment as well. Binance Labs has invested. They're going to be down. Alameda Research. Fuck knows what these other two are. But this is OKX is also in this as well, I'm pretty sure. So, you look at all of these guys, they're down on the investments. It's okay to buy because they can't sell they won't sell at a loss. And Binance Labs is one of those sneaky fuckers that at some point they are going to pump this and get their money out. That's how they always do it. They will send this token at some point to get the, whatever investment they made on it. They'll make that money back at some point. That's why I think this will pump at some point. Look, this is the only project that I've seen, and one thing that I really liked, where the team only holds 4.5% of the supply. That's tiny. I've never seen a team hold anything less than 10%, but these guys only hold 4.5. That's why I've always been so bullish on this. And you look at the early investors, they already been unlocking, but they're basically almost halfway through their investments. They're almost done. So I don't know, there's not much dilution for this. Just go down here, 1.8. But the end of 2025, it's going to be, well, let's say November, December, right? Latest. It's going to be 2.9. So it's just over 1x, just 1 million dilution. That's it. $1 million dilution, which is not a lot. You look at the where's Snift? You look at the volume, it's 500,000. So over the next year, only $1 million is going to be into circulation, and the volume's 500,000, so it would absorb it. That's the thing. That's the difference. So you have to look at the vesting schedule for most of these projects. 6K a day is fuck all. It's not gonna tamper with the price at all. 6K, 500K volume, bro. 6K is nothing. The volume would absorb it. That's why I'm so bullish on this project as a low cap, because it is in a very good narrative. It's in the AI agent narrative. Partner with a lot of AI agents on Binance. They also cater the gaming narrative, so it's a bit of both. Thoughts on Top Hat G? Ross, my friend, very, very good to see you. Very good to see you, Ross. Never heard of this, but it looks like one of the. I think this is an AI agent coin as well, I'm pretty sure. So look. Yeah, it looks a bit stale in terms of the price action, but it doesn't really mean anything. Oh, okay. So it's an oracle or is there a Launchpad for AI agents? Is that what it is? So they got 10 AI agents, and everyone knows about Colin. And they're all Gem GPT launched on here as well. Okay. Yeah, it's not too bad. Not too bad. But the thing is, like, how many Launchpads do you need, my friend? How many Launchpads do we need? We have too many. So I personally would not invest into this one. So many great gems. My eye heavily on Rio and Quant. Not so much Quant, but definitely Rio, my friend. Rio is a very fundamentally strong project, and Rio will do well on the back of the freehold wallet releasing very soon. That is going to be the pump fund of tokenization. Anyone and everyone can go on that wallet and tokenize anything they want without any middleman, and that is a very good platform to have. I think that will get a lot of attention, in my opinion. Yeah, so if your average price for ore is below 0.08, you're doing well. For prop base, if your average is below 0.045, you're still doing well long term. For NAI, if you can get it below 0.03, doing phenomenal. Sensei, I would say anywhere between 0.02 below is, you're going to make some decent money. That's what I would say. Fantastico, very good to see you, my friend. Smash the likes, guys. I would appreciate it. My Tau entry is 250 to 350 range. Should I move it? Or also between NAI and Sensei, which one would you pick? So if you have a heavy bag in Tau, you have to consider liquidity. So the most you'll get with your Tau investment is probably like a 5x, maybe probably around 5x. Like Tau, $1,000 coin is possible. So you might get it just below. So it all depends, but if you're okay with the 5x on Tau, then it's fine. But if you want a little bit more gains, then go with Alt. Yes, Alt will do very well. Definitely outperform Tau. NAI and Sensei are low liquidity coins, so you can't go too heavy into them. Like you can go heavier in Alt because they are going to get more exchange listings and the liquidity is pretty decent and the volume is pretty good. So you got about 2 million volume across the board, which is pretty decent. I think that's pretty good. That's like 10% of the market cap, which is healthy. Whereas NAI and Sensei have lower liquidity and less volume. Especially NAI. Sensei has decent volume, but NAI has fuck all. So you have to look at liquidity. Liquidity is always going to be something in the back of your mind if you invest in heavy. If you're going to invest into Alt, my friend, make sure it's not too heavy, especially in NAI and Sensei as well. Make sure they're not heavy, because when it's time to sell liquidity, you're gonna fuck up the charts, bro. You're gonna basically rogue your own coins. Props, NAI, or all three of those are still in good ranges, I would say. 100% agree, especially Alt. Buzz, good to see you as usual, my friend. You should start live streaming as well, Buzz. I don't know why you don't do it. Walaikum salam. Good to see you, my friend. I'm late to the party. Can you please prepare some samples on how to, or can you please prepare some samples on how to shoot on Sensei on how to script the channel? I'm not best. Yeah, look, there's no point shilling it anymore. I don't want to be a nuisance to other YouTubers. He already obviously knows about Sensei. He talks about Sensei every other day. And he likes he said it's a fundamentally good project, but he's just going to hold off until the volume increases a bit and there's some good price action, which makes sense. It's going to be good for us anyways, because the reality is, if alt pumps 2x tomorrow, he's just going to jump on the bandwagon and pump the bags even more on top of that. So I would rather he's already aware of alt. I've already showed it to him. Someone in the group, the VIP group, joined his group and showed it, which is good. That's how you market the coin. So he's aware of it. He said it's a very good project that generates revenue. He's just, I don't know what he's going to do. Maybe he's accumulating slowly. And then at some point, he's just going to release a video on it and pump his own bags. So, and pump our bags as well. Yeah, but he did say it's a good project, but I don't go on his comments and spam it, bro. Because it's just because I don't like stuff like that as a YouTuber. I don't think he will like it either. He's aware of it. He's mentioned it on his YouTube. Just leave it at that, Martins. Do you agree that it's not okay to have anything in order? What? Yeah, I agree with that, bro. Of course, you should definitely have something in RWA. If you haven't seen that new SEC meeting just a few days ago, regarding, JP Morgan just tokenized on Ondo and Chainlink 2 days ago. That's a massive event in itself. This is what people don't realize. That is a massive event in itself. JP Morgan, one of the biggest banks in the world, just tokenized treasuries on Ondo and Chainlink. We are going towards the age of tokenization, and the fact that people are still speculative on RWA, those people are stupid. You should definitely have something in RWA, my friend, 100%. Went to Beam conference in Amsterdam yesterday. There's not going for gaming only the future, but expand to other narratives. I do agree with you, my friend, and that's why the likes of SKR did say, although they still focused on gaming, they expand into other narratives, because gaming is just fucking dead at the moment. They need to look at narratives or other places that's going to generate them revenue, so they can do their buybacks on SKR. If you just stick in gaming, you're never going to make no money. So I do agree with you, Beam. Even Beam, I mean, Chris, even Beam is expanding to AI and stuff, because you have to adapt. Yeah, but it's part of the game to actually, because the thing is like, one mistake, just like the one in December, we just fucked up the whole portfolio. It's as simple as that. Like, we got into the August lows bang on. I predicted the August lows like a week before it happened. I said sometime in August we're gonna have a massive crash, and then that's when you go heavy, and that's how we played out. But then, fucking Trump came around and just fucked everything up. Even though I predicted, because I made a report in January that Trump is going to reduce GDP. Let me see if I can pull it up. Can I share my screen? Hold on, let me show you guys what I'm talking about, bro. I predicted this in Jan, and even then, I did not expect this shit to go down this much. Like, this was just brutal amounts. Where is that shit, bro? Let me see if I can show you guys what I'm talking about, bro. There you go. I posted it over here. Let me just share my screen in the private group. 1 sec. Present, share screen, entire screen. No. Oh, there you go. Market Discord. Look at this, right? Even though I predicted this, can you guys see this, right? All right, let me zoom in. This was in January, right? I can't zoom into it, but you guys can zoom into it. I said that fucking Trump is going to do a lot of this bullshit, where he's going to cut GDP, he's going to fuck up the markets, and then at some point we'll probably end up having QE. But what he actually done was he fucked up the markets and then just went back on everything he done. And that is, stuff like this. But even then, I was not expecting this shit to actually, let me remove that, go back on the start a new screen now. Hold on. But even then, the market just kept going down and down and down and down, just fucking nonstop. It was just a brutal 4 months. But most people that made it through that, because a lot of people capitulated during that time, the people that made it through that, they're reaping the rewards now. Very excited times, and Dutch CEO Marco is very professional. He's a keeper too. I do agree with you, and I think Beam will do very well, my friend Chris. I think Beam will do very well. RWA is going to take off. I can feel it. I do agree. I bought a bag of cola. Do you think any? Yeah, look. If you watch my channel, Ben, I actually spoke about. I think during the March times or during the fucking, the time when we were dumping, I told people To buy Cola, Grift, Sui, Injective, and Ondo. Those are the 4 or 5 coins that's very good for trading. I am a fan of Cola, yes. And today, Tolly is the co-founder of Solana Shield, and that's why he pumped. But I took profits on this pump though. I left the moonbag. I always leave moonbags. Anytime you take a profit on any trades or anything, just leave a small moonbag. Your moonbag can go to do another 10x, later down the line. It's free money. Yeah, Alt has unlocks every like 7 days, but most of it is for other stuff. It's not. I don't really know what the real unlock schedule is. It's 2 million every 5 to 7 days. But if you're looking at selling pressure, I would say probably around 50k of that is selling pressure. Most of it is not. Maybe less than that. Maybe like 30k selling pressure. The rest of it is like ecosystem and mining and all these other stuff. Because there's only 10% for early investors in Alt. So the vesting schedule is very, very, it's not harsh at all. The only thing that Alt is lacking and the reason it does not pump in the short term is very simply put, they just don't market as well. That's it. Now, I think Alt is a narrative play, meaning that during the narrative, it will pick up, and then once it picks up and people actually look into it properly, because when we were shilling Alt to House of Crypto, he has never heard of that project ever, which means it's completely under the radar. And good projects under the radar, when the market really wakes up and the market is fishing for good coins, that is when you're going to see the most rewards for very good projects that's undervalued and no one knows about them. So you have to wait for the market to get bullish and for the narrative to hit, because during the AI agent phase, it pumped 4x in that 1 week, because AI agents is part of his narrative, part of his category, but he has 6 other categories it will pump with. When storage picks up, when Aave is doing well, and Filecoin is doing well, people are going to go look for other storage coins, and that's when Alt's going to pump. And then when DePIN does well, DePIN tends to have a massive pump. People will go and look for Alt in the DePIN sector, and they will pump it again. And then when layer ones pump, the exact same thing will happen again. So it's a narrative play. It will pump regardless whether they market or not, based on the fact that they keep developing, and they will market eventually. They keep getting more and more influencers. They got a bunch of Binance influencers shilling it. Now they've formed a partnership with their DePIN union, which is like the biggest DePIN Twitter shiller. So they partner with them. The CEO is a member of Forbes, so he posts about Alt there all the time. They've just partnered with Cointelegraph. Cointelegraph talks about them, so they are marketing. They're just not marketing to shillers, like to Twitter shillers that'll pump the bags. But they will do that at some point. But even without that type of marketing, because it's a narrative play, it will pump. Like we already seen when AI agents got hot, it pumped 4x very quickly. It's just the market got shot quick because of Powell and Trump afterwards. They just never had a chance to continue pumping. But as soon as it does like a 5x, everyone's going to catch on to it. You see what I'm saying? So that's where the alts are going to come. And the unlocks are just, they're dead. They're like 2 million every 7 days. Fuck all. The volume is high. The volume is between 1 to 2 million. And they are going to get more exchange. 1.6 million is pretty good. 1.6 million. And the team's aware that they do need to get a US based exchange. And they're working on it. Which means, if you see this on some decent exchanges in the next couple of weeks, it's going to do very well. The volume is going to grow as well. AI tech should reach at least 2 billion. NVIDIA, OpenAI are going to launch the largest data center in the world. I didn't even know that, but that's bullish though. Very bullish. That could kickstart the DePIN run. That's all it takes. Yeah, peak retrace 35 since the recent unlock. I told you the unlocks are brutal, and it's just every day. Until peak goes down to like 0.01, it's just not worth a buy. It's just going to become. It's a good trade. When layer ones pump, you can always trade it for like a 3-4x. I don't think it's going to do anything more than that, anyways. We already have way too many layer ones, Supra and Peak and Tectum and all these other layer ones, Lithium. There's so many, and there's so many more being launched. Most of them are just fucking useless. So, but Peak has a good ecosystem, and that's what makes it stand out. However, it's not this cycle play. I think Peak is a next cycle play. Just because I think robotics is going to be major in the next cycle. I don't think it'll be anything crazy this cycle. Let's not forget AI Tech has strategic partnership with A&E. They do, yes. So does also has a strategic partnership with UAE, basically the Saudis. You know, the CEO of they were talking about this on the AMA. The CEO of is a professor at the first decentralized AI university in Abu Dhabi. So, you know, that's pretty good in itself. You can form partnerships just through that alone. They're announcing a good partnership with the space Chainlink that are partnering. Yeah, well, AI Tech is just doing so much marketing, and I think it will continue to do so. It's just a matter of, you know, just DePIN waking up. Once DePIN wakes up, AI Tech is going to blow because at the moment, it's the only crypto, you know, that has a real life data center that's actually marked on Google now. So no one, all the haters that was just bullshitted all through 2024, data centers fake, blah 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 blah. They can't say nothing now. It's just, you know, it's pointless because they have a data center that's almost finished. Very good to see you, my friend. No worries at all. Blue, good to see you as well. Do I have the most? You have the most active private group with the best people in the whole crypto space. Appreciate you, my friend. I do. My private group is very active, bro. What do we think about Dual? I'm not a fan of Dual Blue, just simply because, look, it will pump if AI and gaming takes off like it did previously. It did pump very nicely with AI gaming somewhere down here last year. So it did pump, but you got to keep in mind, right? This is a scammy project. And I'll tell you why it's a scammy project. It is a rebrand of, I forgot what the game was, bro, but it's a rebrand of that project. Oh, they've changed the whole shit. Prism, that's the one. They changed it to Prism. Oh, they've changed the whole website. What the fuck? Oh, I wasn't aware of this. But anyways, what people don't realize, right? These guys have no license to actually talk or you know to put rewards or anything on any of those Web2 games. There was another project that done this in the last cycle and they got hit with a lawsuit. So you have to be very careful, you know, not to hang on to this project. If you're going to trade it, you can always trade it, but as a long-term hold is not worth, just because they have no license to actually, you know, port those games on their website. And you can always get hit with a lawsuit at any time with these private projects. It's just not worth, in my opinion. G, if 8 to 10x is your aim, better to hold only 3 coins. My aim is not 8 to 10x, but you know, I'm happy with the 8 to 10x. I'm happy with the 8 to 10x in each narrative. That's what I'm happy with. So I'll go with the most solid coins that I know is not going to rug pull. That doesn't necessarily need 100x. You know, that's what I look for. I look for between 10 to 15x max. That's what I need. Because if I get 10 to 15x in AI, I take my profit, move it into in RWA before, you know, the narrative moves to RWA. I've now doubled my bags, if not tripled my bags. And if I get a 10x on top of my gains that I made from AI, it's fucking stupid money. And then from there, all I want is a 2x. So I can always just go into, you know, the most high cap gaming coin and just get 2x. And now I've made 200x in total. So if you get 10x on one narrative, move it to the next narrative, you get 10x there, that's 100x, your portfolio. And then if you get 2x on top of that, in the high cap gaming coin, then all you need is a 2 to 3x mag, and you've fucking 2 to 300x in portfolio. It's just hard to execute because all you need is just like 4 months of just no bullshit, just like we had in 2023 and 2024. If you can get something like that, you will make life changing money through narrative hopping. It's just that we've just never had the chance to pump. Number one, because there's no liquidity in the markets. We are in the most, you know, liquidity in the market right now is insufficient. There's a chart I'll show you guys in the next stream. There's a chart that indicates, you know, when we have too much liquidity and when we don't have enough liquidity. At the moment, we are in the insufficient amounts of liquidity in the market, which means technically we've never ever really had a bull run for the last 4 years. That's what it means, and that's what Ben Cowen means. Because you look at liquidity, you look at everything's just at the lows. Yes, we had pumps here and there, we had glimpses of nice rallies, but those are catered to specific coins and specific narratives. It's never been the general altcoin market. It's always been one narrative and then one or two coins that just does 100x. But the reality is, are you going to catch those? Very unlikely. Like most people did not catch a virtuals. They didn't. They got in too late. They might have only got 10, 20x. Like, yeah, you could have got that in any AI agent. So it's not anything crazy. But you're talking about the 100x's. Those guys, the people that made 100x on virtuals, they got in when no one even knew what the fuck virtuals was. So that's what my goal is, to narrative hop. But we just need, like, that's why I say the current setup is very good for Altseason, or a decent mini Altseason, because inflation is going down while unemployment is holding steady. I'm gonna just answer a few more questions and I'm gonna get off, bro. Livestream releases their TV show on Amazon Prime. I've seen, and it looks pretty good from what I've seen. It looks very good. When do I think it'd be a good time to heavily in RW on BTC? Yeah, look, if BTC goes down to 90K, that is when everyone should just, if you don't have any positions, go all in. Yeah, Bricken's good, Rio's good, Parcel's good as well. I like all three of those. Instead of Parcel, I'd rather just buy ATR. That's what I would do. I'll buy ATR. ATR is a fast mover. Parcel is still good though, because it has the tier 1 Solana based and is overall a pretty good project. But I like ATR over Parcel just because it's a lot lower in market cap. Parcel is probably like triple the market cap of this now, but it's a lot lower in market cap. Yeah, so it's double the market cap but it also has a bunch of unlocks, whereas ATR has none. But Parcel overall is still a good project, fundamentally sound project. If you had to choose one RWA coin for a safe 10 to 15x, I would rather choose prop base. If you want a safe project that will give you at least a 10x, because a 10x for prop base will put this at 130 million market cap. That's very doable. These guys just fundamentally very strong. Price action is not the best. It's still up, just under 2x from the lows. It was actually up 2x from the lows at the previous pump. But fundamentally, all things considered, exchange listings, they have a top 5 exchange listing coming within the next month. So, on top of that, it has the most liquidity out of all the low cap RWA coins. Take that in consideration as well. Apart from Rio, this has the most trading volume and liquidity. And they have like 60K holders, which is stupid amounts. For the market cap to the trading volume, 60K holders is phenomenal. So I like this project. I think if you had to choose any of them, just pick this one. This one has the most liquidity, apart from Rio, obviously, has good liquidity, and it has not pumped as much. Otherwise, I would have said Bricken. Bricken is one of my favorites, but it's up like 3x from the lows, and I don't feel good telling people to buy something that's up 124% the last 30 days. You'd rather buy prop base that has not pumped yet, but still has the legs to go a lot higher. It's only up 26% the last 30 days. So there's a magnificent difference, massive difference. So yeah, I'd rather you go with a prop base out of all of them. Plume, Rio, Lingo, SMT, Super, all good. All should do 20x. Plume, maybe, just because the Plume unlocks are fucking horrible, bro. It's gonna take a lot for Plume to do a 10x this cycle. So like, you probably do a 5x max. I mean, bro, you have to use your brain, right? Just look at the unlocks and just look at everything. All in all, the unlocks are just gonna get worse and worse for Plume, from what I've seen. I mean, keep in mind, every single unlock, the next month is only 20 million, right? Only 20 million. But guess what happens in July? It jumps to fucking 42 million unlocks, bro. I'm not holding that, bro. I'm simply not holding that. From the unlocks basically double in 2 months. So is it smart to hold Plume? Fuck no, it's not, bro. It's not hard to hold Plume. Plume is a bear market play. I've said it a million times. It's a bear market play. 42 million unlocks is brutal, bro. No matter what anyone tells you, that's a lot of unlocks. And I think this project's going to slowly fade on the unlocks. Because you got to look at the volume. The volume's only 23 million. If the volume's 20 million, right? And the unlocks 40 million, that's more than the fucking unlocks. The volume's half the unlocks. So in July, this is going to get fucking raped. You know, in May, unlocks is in 2 days. So you might see some drop, might see a pump and then a drop. But June is the last month you can actually hold this. From there, 10% of the supply comes out every single month. It's not normal, bro. That's not healthy. Look, 10% in August, 10% in September, 10% in October. It's just going to be 10% for the rest of the fucking up until 2026. So no, Plume is not a good investment. It's a very good project. A good project does not mean a good investment. It has to be at the right market conditions, and this is not the right market conditions. Lingo, let me check the Lingo vesting. Lingo is still a fundamental. A lot of these projects are going to be phenomenal buys in the next bear market. There's no rush to buy them now. I told people, even though House of Crypto was shilling the shit out of this at the fucking top, I don't know if he's paid or not, but you got to look at this, right? When this first came out, over here, it pumped. I told people, don't fucking buy this shit. Don't buy it. Don't buy it, because when the unlocks hit, you're going to get fucking raped. This went from 50 cents, 40 cents, 30 cents down to fucking 5-6 cents. That's fucking down loads, bro. And people don't realize this. It's only because of the unlocks. When these motherfuckers are down 70-80%, it means that all the early investors are going to be down, if not break even or just slightly down. So that's what you have to look for. Like, now is not a bad time to potentially buy, but look at the unlocks. Every single day, linear for the next year, it's just going to be unlock every day. It'll pump during the RWA season, but for how long? How all of those, Rio, SMT, and Seapool are the best ones. Lingo and Plume, I'm not too sure about, bro, personally. They will definitely pump, but for 10 million market cap, why the fuck would you not go buy a prop base? It's a no-brainer. Just go buy a prop base. Prop base has VCs backing them. They're very close to Aptos. Aptos has millions of dollars behind them, billions. It's just no-brainer to go buy prop base over this, because this is harsh unlock. Same thing with Plume. So no, those two are not good, but the other three are solid. What's my thoughts on Hippo? I know you don't. I've been fucking. I've been trading the shit out of Hippo, bro. I've been trading the shit out of this. I called a trade alert on this. It done around 50-60% pump, like over here. So I called it somewhere down here. It pumped all the way up here to about 0.06 on Mexi, dropped. I got in again, pumped, sold, and then I'm probably gonna buy this again soon. So I'm just been trading the shit out of this, bro. Like, it's not a bad meme coin because it's on Sui, and I think Sui meme coins will do well. I even traded Lofi. Like, I don't. It's not that I don't like memes. I just don't like holding memes, but I'll always trade them. I got into Lofi. I'm up about 2x on this as well. So yeah, I've been getting into meme trades recently. Yeah, Rainmaker, that's the one, Chris. What do you think about Wormhole? I have not looked into Wormhole. Let's have a quick glance at it. I'm gonna get off in the next 6 minutes. 1 hour 30 is the most I'll do. Damn, so high market cap, good volume. Well, 10% volume, pretty decent. Oh, this is a Solana coin. I think I have looked into this actually. Connecting internet economy, AMD, Solana. Yeah, this is not a bad project. Connecting internet economy, Wormhole. Yeah, this is a niche use case, but this is definitely a good project. But it's like one of those where do you really need the token? I don't think you do need the token. So it's one of those. Like, you have to think, do these high caps need a token? If they don't, then if they can operate without any without anything, then you don't really need to invest into it. If they can operate without the token, you don't need to invest. And ATR said the best. If the token dies, so does ATR platform. So ATR dies with ATR. The token, if the token dies, the platform dies. Some of these, if the token dies, the platform will still be used. Same thing with DEXs. If Uniswap token dies, Uniswap will still be used by everyone, and PancakeSwap will still be used by everyone. So some of these tokens do genuinely not need a token. They just have it because it's like cash cow. It's a cash cow for them. They can just keep selling anytime they want. It's just free money for them. So that's something to consider as well. And Wormhole is being used by Uniswap apparently the most. So they don't really need it. But they have a lot of TVL locked, which is impressive. That's a lot of TVL. Impressive TVL 100%. It will definitely pump. I'm amazed House of Crypto has never heard of Alt until you guys showed it to them at the last AMA. Yeah, a lot of those people in that AMA is people from like all over the world that does the data hub, that does the other stuff, because they got 170K or 150K people using the data hub across the world, which means that a lot of those, those people in the AMA could just be people that use the data hub, that utilize the data hub. It was also on the first page of Kaggle, which is the biggest data place for Google. So, they definitely have a wide audience, but a lot of the audience is probably in China from what I've seen. And people don't realize, right? The reason the data hub is not that important, or not that, most people in the West don't use it, is because it's not a lot of money for us. If you can make, I don't know, like $5-10 or some shit in a month from just taking pictures of random shit, for us, that's fuck all. For some people around the world, $5-10 every couple of days or every week is not, every month is good money. Like $10 in other places in the world is not bad, and he's just doing it, just something on the side. So it all depends on how you think about it. But yeah, but they never heard of it. The reason they never heard of it is because like Alt develops a lot, but they just lack that marketing. For example, that Human AIX Alliance is probably one of the biggest things I've seen in the AI space in crypto in a very long time. Forming an alliance with like 7 other well-known companies is a massive thing, but they done it at a time where the market was dead and no one genuinely gave a shit. Even though that post got like 70, 80K views, if they done that last week when the market was bullish, Alt would have flew to like 15 cents in seconds. And there's that negative side, but on the positive side, they don't give a shit how the market condition is. They'll just continue to build, and that is a good thing in itself. Boys, smash the like button, but how the fuck do we only have 60 likes? That's crazy. Smash the like. I would appreciate that loads. It only takes 2 seconds. Helps me out a lot. Holding Mode Network, do you recommend keeping it rooted in pub-based or? Yeah, look, Mode is not bad, but bro, this was good during the phase of AI agent craze. I don't think we're gonna have the same level of, because you gotta think the first pump is always gonna be massive. The second pump isn't going to be as big in terms of AI agents. So people feel like Virtual's first pump was good. We don't know if Virtual's second pump is going to be as good. And you got to keep in mind, Virtual is 95% controlled by whales. So you can always go higher like a mantra and then just fucking rug like this. I think the exact same shit happened to this, but this chart looks unhealthy as fuck. So yeah. I'd rather move Node elsewhere about Mode. Like Mode is strictly DeFi AI agents, whereas Alt caters to 5 other narratives and they're doing 5 different things. That's the benefit. So yeah, I would potentially move into Alt. And Mode had his time. The DeFi AI narrative, I don't think is going to come back as strong this time. What do I think about autos? Autos will pump on the back of Alex Becker and the RWA narrative. So, when RWA really picks up and Alex Becker talks about autos, it's going to pump. But as a project, it's fucking ass, bro. I'll be honest. Rose, not a fan of Rose. That's an old project. Would you DCA? Yeah, I'll be out by fucking September. Way before December, I'll be out. Always appreciate Inside G. Thoughts on Massa? Yeah, Massa is a good project. If you're looking for a good ecosystem play for Tau, Massa is the best one in my opinion. Massa and Taubot, those are the ones that gets the most attention within the Tau ecosystem. So Massa, when Tau really picks up and people start looking for the ecosystem of Tau, Massa is one. Like this is the one I'm gonna get when thing is doing really well, Tau. When Tau starts picking up and AI really picks up, and people are looking for the Tau ecosystem, this is a good one, and Taobot is another good one. Cookie is a good project. Cookie is like the oracle of AI agent, so it will do well, and it has very good volume, bro. I traded that one as well because this one you can go heavy on, just because of how good the volume is. 14 million volume is pretty good, and it has a lot of liquidity. Like you can, I can buy like $5,000 at this and sell it within seconds. That's what I like, and this is a good one for that specific thing. But it says Oracle, and I think it will do well overall. And it just got a Binance listing a couple of months ago. I think in December. I like NOS, but I don't know, man. NOS is just not gone anywhere, bro. And the thing is like most people do not use the GPUs anymore. And this had the crazy pump on the back of the Solana hype. The Solana hype is never going to be the same again, and people need to remember that the initial Solana hype we had is not going to come back. It's not. So instead of NOS, just go buy AI tech, in my opinion. Not now, obviously. Let AI tech have a pullback first. Can you give me your opinion on analog? Let's have a look at analog, bro. This is the last question I'm going to do. I'm going to answer J Lamb's question as well, and then I'm going to get off, bro. What is this, bro? From my memory, I've looked into this before. Oh, yeah, I've seen this here. Liquidity hub for autonomous chain. So it says interoperate across all chains. Not bad. This is one of those tokens that will get used, but I don't know about the price action on the token though. So see, I guess we're used by Wintermute as well. So it's definitely close to Binance, because when you see BNB chain and you see Wintermute is the market maker for Binance. So these guys definitely gets used by Binance. They got a coin brewer as well. Okay. Gay.io. Yeah, it has quite a lot of backers, to be honest. Tribe as well. Tribe's big VC. Yeah, wait for this to dump a little bit, bro. Wait for this to dump a bit more. I don't like how the supply is infinite. Some of this shit just don't need the token, bro. This is just one of those shits. Just simply don't need the token. Yeah, I would invest into this, bro. This doesn't need the token. I know you're a fan of Sensei. I don't really like getting into KKO. Like, it's good, but it's not my type of project I'll get into. AGI potential from here. I like AGI. Chris, take care, my friend. I'm getting off as well now. I do like AGI, and I like what they're building in terms of the Lucy. But I think in terms of a mid cap, from this point on, I'll just get into other mid caps, bro. Simply put. Like, I think it will do well. Maybe I think it will at least reach. This is like a 5 to 10x play from here. Like, if you did not get into this down here, I just wouldn't buy it now, bro. Like, it would definitely reach. I think it will reach its all-time high in terms of price action between a 10x, between a 5 to 10x, and this is possible. Just because it does other stuff, like it does AI agents, but it's building more and more. It's because it's Swarm AI agents. The reason I've kept my bag. I like Swarm. Swarm will do well. But if you're a new investor and you want to buy this now, I think there's better projects out there than AGI. But if you've been holding this, it will still give you at least a 5 to 10x. Anyways, guys, drop a like on your way out. Appreciate the consistent support from you guys. I will be live on Tuesday again, so make sure you guys tune in. Appreciate that, Jay Lambro. I really appreciate you, my friend. Yeah, drop a like on your way out. I will be live in 2 days. I'm gonna start banging out some tier list videos as well again, because those are always fun. But the problem with tier list, it changes every other week. But if the market dumps, the tier list changes. But that's what makes it fun, I guess. But anyways, guys, drop a like on your way out. Thank you guys for the consistent support. I will be live on Tuesday. Have a lovely day. I'll see you guys very soon. Bye-bye.